because I know the other side. I know the helpful side, but I don't know the city side and the difficult part of determining how to handle a land use issue. I've never had to do that, obviously. It does make sense to me that if something is not in a land use, that it needs to be reviewed and put into it in a way, put into the land use or the ordinance in a way that obviously benefits the entire city and not just a few. So, in the way, I was initially opposed to the moratorium, but based on how the city attorney gave his intro, I am now for the moratorium, with a caveat. I think that the moratorium, the word moratorium specifically means go no further, but we haven't gone there yet. So it's hard for me to understand stopping to do something that you haven't started to do yet. And what I'm asking you is, look at this situation as an opportunity, which you have, and then bring in people that are not in your normal circle, because your normal circle right now has got their, like this. They don't want to hear us. But there is an us that is worth hearing. First, the us that's worth hearing is the entire state that went to the polls and came back with a result that councils should move forward with, not find ways to circumvent. So I offer myself to the council, to the attorney general, to the attorney, and to the city manager, to the mayor, and to the city staff, all that I can possibly help with. I read everything I can possibly read, not just the bad stuff, but the good stuff too. And I'm not sure everybody in your circle is reading all the good stuff, and I'd love to be able to help with that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jerry Mason?
He's stuck in a meeting and on the way.
Alrighty, no problem then. We're going to have to go on without that then. That's all the public speaker slips I have at the moment. Entertaining comments from my colleagues. Any thoughts? We have before us the staff recommendation to enact an ordinance, an interim ordinance. Are there any thoughts, Mr. King?
Yes, I'd like to make a few comments. I appreciate the fact that the people that have come forward to speak recognize the necessity of a moratorium. First and foremost, the council's responsibilities to the broader public, not only the interest of those who have medical marijuana needs, that being public health, safety, and welfare, which really is more than just a cursory look. Given that there was a plethora of applications in cities across California, it's no wonder that most cities were inundated and unable to really respond to the impact of the request for these medical marijuana outlets. The research, I've read a considerable amount, and just for your information, we have been inundated with information on good, bad, on ordinances, and just about everything. It's going to take some time to read through it. There's a lot going on this, and it's a very widespread issue that I think all cities are taking quite seriously at this point of state law. And as was said, the people have said we want these things approved. Cities are obligated to hold state law to the extent that it doesn't take away from the city's primary role. That being said, I just hope that the applicant here, the applicants and the people that are advocating truly understand that we can't just take a momentary glimpse. It may take longer than 45 days. I think we all need to be educated as to what the options are, how to protect the community, how to make sure that if these things in fact are approved, that they run properly, and as has been said, that they're done in the most professional manner, and they're an asset to the community rather than a liability, which has occurred in many instances. So I just wanted to make that statement.
Thank you, Ms. McCoy.
Yes, I think that there is a need for the moratorium. We have to get a handle on the legal issues, because here you have two warring factions. You have the federal government saying one thing and state government saying another, and there are states' rights involved, etc., etc. And if I read it correctly, these three initiatives that are upcoming, if they qualify, will make it legal in California. And then you'll come up with a real clash between the federal government and the state. Am I correct on that issue?
That's my understanding.
That's what
I haven't
thought.
read through the initiatives. I'm having enough trouble with current law. So,
Well, I'm just looking down the road a little bit, and I've got a list of questions here. Who are these caregivers? How are they screened? Who decides who that's going to be? How do you verify these? It says there it was a written recommendation by a doctor or an oral recommendation. How do you verify an oral recommendation? And these are only letters, they're not prescriptions, which is very different. If you have a script for it, you know, you're dealing with opioids and all those things as well. This is more of a gateway drug than anything else. And I would like to know what class is marijuana in? Is it a class 1, class 2 in the drug, in the controlled substances law? Because that really bothers me, because then you want to know who these people are that are giving these recommendations. How do you verify if they only give an oral recommendation? How do you control the amount? Do you have it like a DEA logbook, where you have so much on premises, you prescribe so much, or you allow so much to be dispensed? If the DEA comes in, you should be able to marry the two with your logbook and what you've got left. I mean, I'm talking because I know how it works on prescriptions. And so I'm looking at that, and I know how tough that can be. So if you were to sell, say, brownies laced with marijuana or oils laced with marijuana, how do you quantify the amount of marijuana or cannabis in those particular products, soaps, for example? How does that equate with the DEA and the Controlled Substances Law? These are questions that come to mind. I don't know the answers. That's why I'm talking about them now. And the other thing that occurred to me, how long are these these letters of recommendation for? I'm thinking of somebody who dies, for example, and the caregiver doesn't notify anybody that this person is gone, and then they go and still collect the marijuana for them. They can sell that anywhere they like. So I'm wondering, is there a time limit on these recommendations, oral or written, so that there's an end time to them? Because when you get a normal prescription, you can have it, they'll renew it for 2, 3, 4 times. Then you have to go back and get another prescription. So I'm wondering if we can pattern something along those lines, or if already that's being done. And then I'm very interested in the sensitive uses in a zone and the buffer zone that should surround it. We need to look at that when we're thinking of an ordinance, if we were to go forward and not ban it, we'll say. And I think safe access is important. There should be hours when it can be open. So that, and the other thing that really